You know what? I was sitting on it and I was like, if I'm sitting here thinking about it, I should just talk about it, even if I am just like throwing some lashes on real quick. I'm almost done. Like, it's not a get ready with me because I'm not going anywhere, but I just had this overwhelming urge. Anyways, so I was sitting here thinking about last night. I went to an open mic with my friend and performed a poetry piece, and this was the first open mic she had been to at this particular event, and maybe in Tracy in a while. Which is really cool. Now, my piece was called Laughing Babies Makes Me Cry and I Love My Cat, or alternatively, it could be called How to Kill Something Feral with Philosophy and Love, and also Baby Fever and Existential Dread. I'm not sure where I'm going with the title, right? But the poem was about this feeling. First of all, I should preface this by saying I read this poem on Reddit, and I'll try to find and link the actual Reddit user who posted this poem because it was quite a beautiful piece. But it was called the Philosophy of Deliberate Extinction, and it sent me down this thought, this poetic rabbit hole of sorts. And then it got me thinking about motherhood. Now, motherhood is not something I've ever like seriously considered or debated. Strictly for the fact that my whole life I've grown up with this ideal that it's just not me. I ain't that bitch, all right? But not really true, is it? Because I think about it all the time. But I've also made like a thing with myself. It's like this is probably not going to be your life. The motherhood. And I have a part of me is like I cry about that all the time. I do mourn it. And I always think like, for instance, if I were to meet a man who I felt would make a wonderful father and could pick up where I can't, then maybe it is something I'd seriously consider. Maybe I would be a mother. Just cause I think I could raise an incredible child, right? Um, and it's also like that biological factor at play. And I'm gonna be 26 soon, so I think that has a lot to do with it too. It's like, oh shit, I'm gonna be 26 soon, and if I want a kid, while I probably got another 10 years on me, hell, maybe even 20. Depends on where I'm at physically, like in my health and all that. Like, that time is, that clock is ticking, type shit starts hitting, and I'm like, fuck. It's now or never, bitch. Certainly not now, though. Oh, sorry, the camera's here, not here, but I'm used to my camera being here. Sorry. Um, but the poem, I'll read it to you at the end, and I think that'll help. Where I start the line of, well, basically, I'm just like wondering what it's like to be a mother. But then I start thinking about what it's like to be a mother in this world. And then I start thinking, well, it's just probably better to just be a stray cat at the end of the day because they have this sense of freedom, the frailty that human mothers don't quite have. I say, like, I look at my cat and I wonder about his mother. She didn't know. All she knew was instinct. She didn't have the burden of wonder, right? And that's kind of like what sets the whole thing in motion. It's like when you are a person, you tend to existentialize and philosophize and catastrophize, which is exactly the direction that the poem went into. I argue, or I just talk about some of the fears about being a person in this world. And considering the direction that the world is taking, it just doesn't seem wise to bring a child into it. And that's where the poem, The Philosophy of Deliberate Extinction, comes into play. Because I'm not the only one who feels this way. There are people all around this fucking planet right now who are feeling the same fucking way. Like, how could I bring a child into this world? But if we all start to feel that way, birth rates start going down, all this other shit, guess the fuck what? We will in fact go extinct. Population will dim. And I know there's all these like rumors and shit about like population control, but the powers that be, they don't want us to stop having babies. They want more babies. Because if we stopped having babies and there stopped being more people, they stopped having people to control. And in turn, they don't get to be super rich anymore. But like, what's it fucking matter? They have one lifetime and they're gonna die eventually. But they want to leave a legacy. And that's what the poem starts with. To leave a legacy, or to just be a temporary existence. To simply just be experienced. Right? So that's what my poem is about. Then later that night, me and my friend, we head to the bar. First of all, these two guys, we were sitting outside of the open mic. It was like a little coffee shop. And I saw them. I was like, ooh, they kind of cute. Like, so like I paid attention to them. And I was like watching them. So we get to the bar. Damn, this shit dead. Keisha. Oh my gosh, she fucking dead. And lo and behold, they were there. And we're playing Jenga, me and her. And they're having a moral debate of sorts. And one guy's talking about how he is trying to set a proper example for his younger sister. He's the older brother, so he wants her to have a male figure, a male role model in her life. And he's trying to be that man. And, oh boy, it gets good. Somewhere along the lines, they go into the conspiratorial shit, right? And it starts with, or maybe that's not what happened, maybe that just happened later and I'm confusing shit now. One of them asks, have you seen the new Kanye video? Which, if you don't know, he talks about the new Kanye video, right? And then he goes on, they didn't know it, but I was like, I chimed in, I was like, ah, shit, I know what she's talking about. And to be honest, I just only glimpsed it, I didn't pay too much attention to it. What was quite the message, quite the shock value. Can't help but feel like this guy's just making fun of everybody all the time. But no, memento, por favor. I woke up in my bed. It's so damn hot in here. I got your message right. Sorry, I've got to put my jacket on. I just felt I had the urge. I really did have the urge. Come on. You've got it. There we go. Mama likes to be covered. Mama likes to be covered. Sorry, I had an energy drink. And they start talking about the Jews. I know. So obviously, my little conspiratorial self was like, kind of fucking with the direction of this. So we started talking about it. But I asked the question before they could continue on. What do you think if it is the Jews? And I wasn't asking, like, because I have the answer. I was genuinely curious, because you hear about this shit all the time, but what do you ever learn from it? Like, if it is the Jews, what the fuck do they want? And ultimately, we go down this long line of questioning to only discover that it has a lot to do with capitalism. But what would they use capitalism for? It's a tool. It's not It's a tool for control, but it's not really what control is, right? And then one guy later on, maybe about 30 minutes in, he goes, for power, of course, so that they can have the power, so that they can be in power. And I'm like, I see, this makes sense. But before we get to that point, we go down the effects of capitalism and greed and why people are having less babies. Because people like me, who sit here and we think about it, we think about what it means to be a parent in this world. And the effects of this sort of oppressive nature in society is creating these deep divisions and divides, and we have all of these influences and influencers who are pushing a type of lifestyle onto us that we may or may not be able to achieve or afford in this, but they live a life where being an infidel is possible because they got money, so they got bitches, they got riches. But us regular folk are barely scraping by. Us regular folk have a lot less people to pick for partners. I mean, unless you're hot. And like, these guys weren't ugly, so they could go that route if they wanted to. Probably wouldn't be the most luxurious or satisfying life because, let's face it, that type of lifestyle is never satisfying, is it? It's all temporary. Everything is all very temporary. And, right. So, influences. We have all these influences that are pushing these values onto us. Being single, being a bad bitch, being an OnlyFans girl, being a player, being a nihilist, being red-pilled and blue-pilled and politically inclined, and being pro-life or pro-choice or being gay, or all these fucking values that don't even come from our own fucking brains anymore. It started out that way, but perhaps maybe it never did. Sure, if I did like a historical deep dive into how people come to certain values, I'd find some sort of propaganda from any time period pushing it. Right? Right. So where am I going with this? So I have a question. What if it's not the Jews? What if it's not the ultra powers that may be? Because you could push the same message out again and again, but are you going to listen to it? Now, there is like the idea, there's like this whole thing, like, you know, subconsciously message do get embedded into us, especially with the music and shit that we watch and we listen to, and the movies and the shows. Like, especially if you spend like a lot of time listening to music about being a whore, you're inevitably going to live that lifestyle in some way. You're going to attribute those values that this individual had, man or woman, to yourself. You're going to start identifying with it because you hear it and it's becoming subconsciously ingrained, and you can consciously sit here and say, no, I don't believe in that. No, I don't do that. But you do, and you will eventually, because the subconscious is a powerful fucking tool. Let's take self-worth, for instance. If you listen to a lot of sad music, this comes from experience. Like, I listen to Crywink. I used to love Crywink, but Crywink is he's a sad man. He is. He talks a lot about that. Sorry, my hair's like all fucked up today. I hate my eyebrows. I hope they don't look too bad on camera. I just really wanted to do my makeup for some reason. But I was listening to him for years, and I wasn't in the best position in my life. I was morbidly depressed. I was hyper anxious. I was addicted to pornography like nobody's fucking business. It was one of the hardest habits to break, really, because sometimes I'm just like, I just want to jerk off. And then I'm like, I should jerk off to some porn instead of my own imagination. And then that kind of fucks with you. Like, man, do I not think anything is hot just in my brain? I mean, of course I do. That's what got the engine revving, right? Like, but I need this. Anyways, jerk off to the pictures in your mind, friends. There's no greater fantasy than the ones that you create. Excuse me while I shouldn't have did that. It's whatever. Whatever, fuck it. You can't even tell that I'm wearing them. Can you? Can you? Fuck it, whatever, who cares? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought, friends. There's a lot going on right now. I suppose I'm not quite the multitasker I thought I would be. In this moment. Subconscious is a powerful tool. I used to listen to a lot of sad music, and I was listening to it every day. I would like even have dreams where these songs were playing in my head, only to discover not so early on, quite deep into my spiral, that I was believing this more than I should have. For me, my biggest problem in life was stagnation. I wasn't getting the ball rolling on anything because my self-worth was down the fucking drain. I couldn't stop thinking about how it doesn't even fucking matter because nihilism. Oh boy, does nihilism take a fucking hold of you like nobody's goddamn business. Suddenly everything becomes gray and dreary and useless and meaningless. And why the fuck does it matter if I make a video and post it to the void for people to see and they'll never see because all this and all that? And you know what? Now that I do it because I like to do it. And I wish I knew that better. I wish I could have snapped out of it and snapped out of really bad habits of wanting to just be sad all the time. And like, depression is no easy thing. It's not like you cannot just be sad. It took a lot of work for me to like break out of depression that I've had my entire life. Just looking at the world made me so sad. But there was this perspective shift. I used to go outside and I used to be like super stoned all the time, and it could be the sunniest day in the world, but still I somehow see only gray. Now I'm sober, and not to say that sobriety like would make the world look different, but for me it helped a lot. I see all this color. I just went outside earlier to go put some flowers in my flower graveyard, and I was like, wow, it's colorful out here. All these trees, all the dead leaves from fall have fallen off, and they've been replaced with these vibrant greens, and these flowers are flourishing. And the block line for the tree line, it's gorgeous. It's just fucking gorgeous. But I was never really able to sit there and acknowledge that and enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? There was like something holding me back, and it did have a lot to do with the music I was listening to and the media that I was indulging upon, and just this really bad perspective and mind shift. So why am I bringing all this up? If the question is, what if it's not the Jews? Then what is it? Then what is it? Me, myself, and I, you, my friend, are the problem. I know it's a controversial take. It's like, how could I be the problem when I can't even fucking make ends meet, and I can't pay rent, and I can't buy food, and I can't go out, and I can't do this, and I can't do that? And yes, I totally fucking get it, dog. We all fucking get it. We all get it, because we're all fucking struggling right now. But that's not really my point here. No. In order for change to happen, we have to start looking within. We have to heal ourselves a little bit. The system creates trauma, and then they profit off of our traumas. You grow up poor your whole life. Obviously, you're going to be attracted to luxuries and wealth and all that other stuff. But also, being poor your whole life creates this mindset of, I'm poor, I can't afford anything. It puts you in this lack mentality, and you actually inevitably end up getting stuck there. And yeah, you're not making more money if you think more positively. That's just not going to happen that way. But you decide to enjoy things a little bit more and realize, I don't have to spend money to be happy. I need to spend money on food. And I'm going to get to how we can change this. Being able to afford more foods. Right? Yeah, you do have to spend money to, clothe yourself, I suppose. But does it have to be like the most expensive clothes so that you can show it off the next time you go out to the club or the bar? No. Hell, it doesn't even have to be designer. It doesn't have to be name brand. But people, they don't want to be normal. They want to be extra. That's our problem with society. That's when the whole Jewish and capitalism and the Zionist and all that shit comes into play, isn't it, brother? What if we stop playing that game? And that's what this conversation with these dudes at the bar actually inevitably turned to. I was curious. They have all these ideas and these insights and these feelings and these thoughts and these provocations about the higher powers. What is it that they can do within themselves today? I said, even tomorrow. So that you're not riding the fucking wave. How could you step off of it and put your feet on the sandy shores for once? And none of us really had an answer. Because we didn't know what the fuck we could do. But one guy, a little bit more introspective, was like, you could... No, I don't think he had an answer, actually. I think he was telling me about his experiences, though. He says that he spends a lot of time alone, so he lives alone. So he started reading, and he started meditating, and he started thinking. And this makes sense. I can tell that he probably was the one who started this snowball effect with his friends group by him sitting as an individual and thinking for himself and asking questions to his friends. That, in turn, created a ripple effect. And then they would sit there and then they would ask other questions. And then when they're on their social medias and they see something that prompts their interest, it led them down their own little rabbit holes, right? That's one way to start, is to sit in silence. This is what I said. You just sit in silence. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't listen to music. Don't watch TV. Just sit in silence. And if you can't do it for very long, just start with 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and then a whole day. And what this allows you to do is to slowly deprogram yourself from the messages that are all around you all the time. And they're subliminal. You hear about it all the time. But do you know what a subliminal message is? Like, I'll give you an example of subliminality. I've created my own. And they're not so subliminal, but they're here. Now, on where it says rise above it, underneath of this, I had this little tag that said stagnation. And I stared at this all the fucking time. And what happened? What do you think happened? I would sit here and disassociate for fucking hours and hours and hours. And one day I was like, I need to stop staring at this. So I put rise above it. Just rise above it. Alright? Rise above the stagnation. And do something. Do something you enjoy. And obviously, I like art. And then I have this one here. And this is my most recent effect with subliminality. I've been sitting here procrastinating. This says just do it, by the way, and it has like the Nike symbol, right? I've been sitting here all day trying to talk about this video, but I didn't have a way to start it. So I didn't start it. And then while I'm sitting here doing my makeup, I just peek over. I'm like, just do it. And just do it. Just start the video. It doesn't even matter if you're not finished with the makeup. It doesn't even matter if your makeup doesn't come out that great, because you're multitasking and that's not your strongest that's not my strongest skill. You know what I mean? I just fucking did it real quick. I'm doing it right now. But these are examples of subliminality. So when you're able to step away from all the things, because let's be real, the world wants you sad. Because when you're sad, what do? You cope. How do you cope? In this day and age, shopping. We love to go shopping. Capitalism, right? It's always trying to push shit onto us. Trying to sell us something. Always. It could be clothes. It could be food. It could be drugs. It could be alcohol. It could be sex. It could be gambling. It could be all these things. There's so many different ways to cope and feel and have a nice dopamine, a nice little bump of dopamine, right? You know what I mean? But does that make you feel better? Or does it just kind of feel the silence for a little while? Does it kind of stop you from enjoying the silence? I had a conversation with another friend who is a musician. So there's a lot of music in his life. But he was talking about how recently he was trying to take dopamine breaks by not being on his phone so often. And I can see throughout the night, like, he would, like, kind of, like, pick his phone up to, like, check the time or, like, turn it over or, like, look at his notifications and quickly put it down. Because it's quite rude when you're on your phone and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody. Or when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and they're constantly picking up their fucking phone. Like, dude, it's a fucking meme your friend sent you. It's really not that important. It could wait 6 fucking weeks if you ask me. But whatever. But recently he started to, on his way to work, drive in silence as a way to kind of be present. And I was like, wow, this is a wonderful thing. To just sit in silence and be present. I do a lot of that. Not to brag or anything, but I do. I sit in silence a lot, and I like to play music, and I like to think my own thoughts, and it's because I'm constantly on the verge or on the precipice of some sort of great breakthrough. That's why I started recording. It was like, it's here. These ideas are coming to me. Right? And also I've always been a bit of like a fuck everything, dog. I've always been a bit of a rebel. I've always hated control. And I've got a bad problem with authority. So there's that. But we can start by simply doing that. We deprogram our minds with silence and only really focusing on our own thoughts. And when you meditate, you don't have to like sit here and clear your mind. It helps though. So you can get up, push all that shit out of your head so you can start thinking on what's right. Why do I talk about this? Because we had in this conversation an enemy. And it got me thinking, like, we always need an enemy. We always need a bad guy. Because we always need something to fight for. We need a purpose. You know what I mean? We need something that drives us. And it's always been something else. Something bigger and something bad. And they usually have accents and different colored skin or ideologies and beliefs, and there's always just something about this other guy that's wrong, right? But they're never ourselves. When truth be told, we should be our biggest driving force for our betterment, for our health, for our individual thoughts, our individuality, and not in an individualistic sense. We need to come together more often. This is true. But it's really hard to do that. And why is it hard to do that? Just because all this isolation, friend. It's so easy to just unwind by coming home and doom scrolling than it is to go out and have some lunch with your friends, because let's be fucking real, nobody wants to pay $25 for a fucking sandwich and a Coke. And I love my small businesses. I'm all about support your community, right? But I'm gonna be fucking real with you. I bought this $7 cup of coffee at my coffee shop, and it's like moderately sized, right? It's a really good cup of coffee. But I could have bought that same cup of coffee in a bigger cup at a bigger business. And I feel like even our community locations are kind of draining us when they should be doing the opposite. Everything's about profit, honestly. I mean, like, if you had a business, of course, you're not going to want to sell a product for less than what you paid for it to create it. You have to make some sort of money off of it. But instead of making 10 cents more, which would be a profit, they want to make $10 more. Because they do have to compete with these bigger businesses. Then I was thinking about this conversation with my friend who's a musician. He's in a band, and he was talking about venues, right? Like how backyard shows and alleyway shows are always popping. You always see more people there than bigger actual venues with stages and shit like that. Because these venues want to charge $20 a ticket on a Thursday, whereas a backyard show charges $10 a ticket on the weekend. Which show are you more inclined to go to? And even if it was a Thursday, who wants to pay $20 fucking dollars on a Thursday? Dog. Nobody even got paid yet. You know what I mean? So there's like that. You're more inclined to go to your community locations if they're affordable, which is what it should be. And this is going off on a whole different tangent. Still, suppose my point here is twice about it, right? But how do we do that? And that's what kept poking at me that night or last night. It was like we know what we're up against, but we don't have any tools or resources or insights or knowledge on what the fuck to do about it. There's this girl on Instagram. She's in high school now, I believe, but one day she plans on running for president and she addresses all of the issues with society. And I've noticed over time, while yes, she's correct, these are our issues, she doesn't have a plan on how to solve it. And she's still a kid. But that's where we're at. We see the problem. And I think now our time is to find a fucking solution. So I ask, and this is a hard question to ask because even I myself am having a hard time trying to figure out what the fuck this even means. But like, what could I do to not ride the fucking wave? If I do want to be a mother and raise a child, how could I do that? How could I feel comfortable bringing up a precious fucking life into this world without fear of nuclear obliteration? Obviously, I want to raise a leader. I want to raise a kid who can make great changes in this world. And I think that a lot of us think that's the ultimate goal of being a parent, is to raise somebody who can make change. Somebody great and strong with a strong voice and good morals and proper values and who does their fucking work, right? I do the meditation so I can keep doing that. I'm not a shopper, so I'm not really giving into these big businesses. I like to support my community. I don't go to Barnes and Nobles. I go to Caspian's bookshop. Suppose I could stop shopping on Amazon. Again, I'm not quite the shopper though. So that's not really my issue. I don't spend a lot of money on makeup. I've had most of this shit for maybe 5 years. It's a tough question. We want change. I want change and to bring about it. But what do we do? What could I do? Suppose I could talk about it. And which is crazy, like last night happened because for weeks I've been sitting here, I was like, I need to talk about this with other people. And I need to be able to hear what other people are thinking. And we need to be able to all get together and talk about it together as a collective. And then that's exactly what happened last night. So I'm talking about it. And it's probably not the most articulate thing you've heard. 33 minutes in. Unfortunately, nobody has the fucking attention span to pay attention for 30 minutes. And I'm not making it the easiest thing to do. I'm kind of all over the place, eh? But I'm trying. And I'll keep trying. And I'll keep figuring it out. And I'll keep having these conversations. And I'll keep listening to what other people have to say. And I'll keep building upon this line of thinking about this stream of consciousness that's been slowly unfolding before me. And I see it unfolding in everybody else. Not just on social media, but in real life. That was a conversation I just caught in real life time. It's not on platforms anymore. It's in our homes. So what's the next best step that we can do to fight the fucking system, man? Straight up. It's about fighting the fucking system and making the world home again. I always say it's about the children. It's always about the children. Because the children are the next leaders. Anyways, Joeski out.